right now is Republican Congressman Pete Sessions of Texas. You were not among the four who joined with Democrats to vote for this war powers resolution, just for clarity for everyone at home. But Congressman, more Republicans breaking from the president here, wanting to put more constraints on his war authority. What do you think this means?
Well, Kate, first of all, those four, I think, were opposed from the very beginning. So I don't know that it's growing or not, but I will assure you that your words still have some symbolism, and that is that there is increased attention to this matter. And the timing that we have attempted to pay attention to, not just Republican leadership, but Republicans, is in a ceasefire circumstance where we felt like, I as a member of Congress, I think my colleagues, saw that there had been a lessening of not just the, quote, war activities, but the activities across the Gulf. And so I think that the president was using a lot of limited action, only defensive. I think the timing of this, literally at this time, is difficult, but the administration has no choice but to come and sell what we're doing, where things are, and it will require a series of very direct conversation, not just with Secretary of State, Secretary of War. It will need to take place, and I think that the president can offer that feedback for the American people to give them a little bit more structure. So
you think that the president and the White House and the administration does need to do more? They do need to do more. They cannot continue with the status quo.
Well, let's put it this way. I think that the spirit, since there was a vote, they need to come and be more proactive. I know the Secretary of State has been in the United States Senate. I think he's going to have to come to the House. But this is not a growing number of people who would vote this way. It's a growing number of people who want to make sure that we have a complete and better understanding about what is happening. We've not heard from the Pakistanis in a while. There are intermediaries in this. It is not just the United States. And so I think the story could be told that we're on a pathway to peace. To think that America is not responding back in a way that would be expected, that's not war. That is simply conflict.
Let me, as we speak, as we were coming on, I'm just shown that the president took to social media to talk about the vote yesterday in the House. Here's the quote. Yesterday, in a meaningless vote, the House voted 4 bad Republicans and all of the Democrats, the way he wants to write it, to limit my war powers right in the middle of my final negotiations to end the war with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Who would do such an unpatriotic thing? They know where the negotiations stand. Do you think it is unpatriotic that these Republicans voted the way they did?
I think it's, if you could have put in, Kate, I'll be quite blunt, this is an issue that the president obviously has strong feelings about. But I think that the conversation needs to take place on Capitol Hill in the House, where we do hear from people who give us more of an update, who give us these things. Timing, I agree with the president. It's unfortunate. Why would we want to limit us going into a negotiation? That would never be good. That wouldn't be good if it were two companies negotiating. It's not good between two countries. To assume that the Iranians would be given a free hand to take advantage of this is something that the president's speaking of. And I think that that could be something the Iranians use to lengthen the negotiation and the effect of this. So, of course, I disagree. I support the viewpoint that the president holds. The timing was wrong, but I will also tell you, I'm not sure it was a meaningless vote. I think it was a vote that the administration and the American people do want to hear more. I think they will be in supportive of the president's position, and we need to hear from intermediaries also. And then that discussion becomes more pertinent.
Mm-hmm. On the $1.8 billion compensation fund that the president, the anti-weaponization fund, as the president calls it, the acting attorney general said that that was not happening, period. They were not going to move ahead with it, especially after all of the concern that many Republicans raised over it. And then the president just yesterday basically suggested that that fund might not be totally dead. He said that he loved it and he thinks it's so important, and he said we'd have to talk to the lawyers about that. Now you have Republicans like John Cornyn of your state echoing op-eds in writing this: the way to ensure the Trump retribution fund is more than mostly dead would be for Congress to put a stake through it and pass legislation to kill it. Would you support legislation to kill that fund?
Kate, thank you. I was a part of the lawfare by the Department of Justice. I was a person that was, so to speak, out several $100,000 and was taken advantage of. I think that we should not be doing this. Perhaps I would want to be reimbursed a couple $100,000. I think the real question is, do we know enough about it? And it's lawfare at its very worst elements. And I think,
I'm
as
confused.
John Cornyn said, it
you
should not.
You don't think we should do this? What do you mean? We don't think you should do the fund?
I do not think we should do the fund. I think that the activity that happened is very aware to the American people, and that is the Department of Justice, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, did things, including federal judges who were involved. If we want to go and move that further through testimony, we ought to do that. But I am not for the weaponization or the fund of the $1.8 billion.
Are you for legislation that would make sure there is no weaponization, anti-weaponization fund?
Well, I think it's only fair, and I think it would be smart. It's smart for both sides. It's hard for me to know if that would be then considered bipartisan or not, but the $1.8 billion, obviously, to me, is something that we cannot sustain to the American people, nor to ourselves.
Congressman Pete Sessions, thanks for your time today. John.
That's interesting. All right, Stu.